World Art Day was this week, so we turned to an unusual canvas right here in Sri Lanka, the Sigiriya frescoes. Painted in 480 AD, it is said that King Karsapa wanted Sigiriya to emulate the Alakamanda, or the city of the gods, and may even resemble the king's 500 plus concubines, whose sensuous beauty served as inspiration for the golden-skinned ladies on the walls. Or maybe they depict celestial nymphs who are the protectors of the mighty fortress. Welcome to Kaleidoscope, where we are positive, daring, different. On the show today, we are meeting with food writing royalty, checking out Sri Lanka's fabric industry, and marveling at the works of 10 Sri Lankan artists. Did you know that Kaleidoscope is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn? Subscribe, follow, and don't forget to like us. To our fabulous partners on the show, Selico Life, CDB, The Daily Morning, thank you for being awesome.
CDB Hybrid Leasing. Enjoy exclusive interest rate and much more for hybrids, plug-in hybrids and EV vehicles.
And now for the week that was on CDB Snapshot. Good news, the central bank says Sri Lanka's inflation will reduce from what was initially projected. A new report shows that Sri Lanka could benefit from debt-to-nature swaps, having debt written off for protecting ecosystems. Sri Lanka's expressways generate over 159 million rupees from April 10th to the 13th, a prosperous new year indeed. The ADB forecasts developing Asia's economy to grow by 4.9% in 2024. Record-breaking ocean heat causes a mass bleaching event of 54% of the world's coral reefs.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Srilanka Life.
Welcome to Srilanka Life News Capsule. Sri Lanka imports a considerable amount of fabric that is needed for the burgeoning apparel industry. But is it enough? I visited Teejay Lanka to chat with CEO Pubdu De Silva and was quite fascinated with how the company is revolutionizing the textile industry one weave at a time. Sri Lanka imports a significant amount of fabric for the industry. What fabric areas should we be adding to reduce all the imports that we have?
So there is a huge opportunity in Sri Lanka for synthetic-based fabric manufacturing as well as raw material development for fabric manufacturing. And then we have seen sustainability as one of the key things coming up, and with that sustainable material, recycle cotton, recycle polyester, nylon, all that, there is a huge requirement for sustainable material.
So what USPs does the textile industry have in Sri Lanka which comply to your very stringent customer requirements and their compliance requirements?
The visionary industry leaders that we have in Sri Lanka, apart from that quality, innovative mindset that we have, as well as the customer, retailers, touch base, connections, relationship, partnership that we have in Sri Lanka are the key USPs that we have. Apart from that, innovative designs and the universities we have are key advantages for us.
What are the trends you are seeing when it comes to fabric?
Number one is sustainable innovations in raw material as well as processes that we use, dyes and chemical. We have natural dye collection. So likewise, sustainable initiatives in fabric manufacturing is required. And then luxury with comfort is something that we have seen and as a trend. And then global design influences that we have seen more into fashion choices are design with the designer touch base, uniqueness, the textures, the feel, all that is unique when it comes to new trends that we have seen. And also smart textiles is one of the things that we have seen as a trend. It's coming up slowly, but it will be big in time to come.
Now look at the markets this week. The all-share price index at the Colombo Stock Exchange remained at a one-year high, with average daily turnover levels remaining at a healthy 2 billion rupees. After holding on to $90 per barrel prices, oil fell slightly on worries about global demand dropping and a likely increase in US commercial stockpiles outweighing supply fears from heightened tensions in the Middle East. Gold hit an all-time high of $2,431 per ounce as investors focused on gold as a safe haven investment. Spain's got another dangerous tradition, El Colaco, an unorthodox baptism of children where devils jump over them to absorb the baby's sins and protect them from disease and misfortune. There's a graffiti takeover in Los Angeles, with daring artists taking on all 27 floors of an abandoned luxury skyscraper and putting their signature artistic spin on them. He's written 8 cookbooks and won the Guild of Food Writers Award in 2010 for one of them. He's a restaurant critic for The Mail on Sunday and a monthly columnist for Country Life. He's also the food editor of Esquire and a contributing editor for Condé Nast Traveller, and is quite the regular as a guest and a judge on TV food series. TomParkerBowles, a name synonymous with food in England, of course, as you may judge by the title of his newest book to hit the shelves later this year, Cooking and the Crown. I was very happy to meet him at the Galle Literary Festival this year to discuss with him all things about food. You started off as a publicist and then you jumped into food. Was it always a dream of yours to be in food, or did it just fall on your plate?
Being in food sort of fell on my plate to a point. I was sacked from being a publicist. I was a very bad publicist. I could write just about, and I love food. So yes, that was it. Ended up with the job of my dreams.
So your book, Full English, A Journey Through British with Their Food, that won an award. How do you manage to actually write about the history of a nation?
Well, what I used to a point was it is using food again as that prism to look through. Is that, you know, when you look at a plate of food, it's not just a plate of food. It is, you can see invading forces, you can see different cultures, you can see different religions within that plate. English food doesn't have the best reputation across the world, but it's a very, it doesn't travel. There are no English restaurants, really. You wouldn't find any in Colombo around here. But English food is seasonal, very good quality, and not too spiced, unless we're talking about English curry, but that's a whole different subject.
So when you were compiling the book, what are some of the learnings you came across?
It was about really what happened to British food. Why, when you have a nation with amazing, well, we have lots of rain, therefore lots of grass, which means lots of ruminants, cows and stuff to make good cheese and meat and the rest of it. So what went wrong? So it was trying to look into what went wrong, and it was a mixture of Enclosures Acts, industrialisation. There are many factors that drew us away from the land and drew us away from our culinary heritage. It wasn't always appalling, and it's getting much better. But you come to Sri Lanka, or you go to India, or to Thailand, or to Mexico, and food is taken seriously, which it is in England, or Britain I say it is, but not everywhere.
So are there any misconceptions about British food that's floating out there that you would like to dispel?
There are so many. I'd say that British food is bland, boring, institutionalised, grey, greasy, gloopy. I think you can find that as a tourist coming to England. You can be overcharged with some very boring industrial food, but look around. We have some of the best produce in the world, and I feel that we have some very good cooks as well. So, whether it's a smoked salmon with lemon, something very simple, some of our amazing cheeses, the meat. There are lots of things you find. So just look a bit deeper. So
what's your favorite thing about being a judge on cooking shows?
Gosh, it's nice to be able to see lots of different styles of cooking. The main one I do is MasterChef The Professionals, so that's chefs of a professional level, but I like seeing innovation, I like seeing passion, and I like seeing something that I will remember for a long time afterwards. You think, wow, this person can cook. So it's about finding new talent.
So has there been anything like that?
MasterChef is huge in England, in Britain, And many chefs have gone on to open restaurants, but you know, it's people think that you open a restaurant, it's all, hey, have your friends in, drink for free, give away food. Opening a restaurant successful is incredibly hard work, and you don't make much money from it. It's not a way to instant riches. And so in my other job as a food critic, you remember that. You don't go in and destroy restaurants just because writing, the language of hate is much richer than the language of love. You go and celebrate what you find. So my job is for my readers to go out and find good places and say, come and eat here.
So what's your opinion about Sri Lankan food?
Sri Lankan food has always blown me away. In London, there are 4 centres really of immigrant. London's a city built on immigration. That's what's made it great. And if you go to Tooting, Croydon in the south, you go to, Wembley and Harrow in the northwest, you find little pockets of Sri Lankan communities. Where there are communities, there's good food. So when I first started, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you'd go to those areas to eat Sri Lankan food. Now, thanks to the lights of Rambutan and Paradise, and hoppers in particular, it's become mainstream. People are beginning to know about hoppers and rotis and all those wonderful things. And what I love about Sri Lankan food is that mix of all those different cultures and flavors, but yet uniquely Sri Lankan. It's magnificent, and I know very little about it, but I'm learning. I'm on a long learning curve, and not a bad place to start.
What is your comfort food?
Comfort is intrinsically attached to childhood and probably the cooking of your mother. And so I'd probably say something like roast chicken, my mother's roast chicken, which is like, you get a good chicken, cover it with butter, roast it so the skin is crisp, there's succulent, baked potato, peas, it just takes you straight back to childhood.
So your next book, Cooking and the Crown, is hotly anticipated. Any hints that readers can get?
It was starting with Victoria, because there was no point going back to the Georgians because the food was very different then. So it started with Victoria, Edward VII, George V, George VI, and going on to the Queen. And of course, when our late Queen died, then of course Prince Charles became king, and it became a little closer to home. But there'll be no sensational, I'm afraid to say. It's really concentrating on the royal cookery, but things that so it's not all lark's tongues and roasts, cygnets, but Edward VII and Victoria were big eaters. They would have 12 courses at lunch, 12 courses at dinner. There was a lot of foie gras, truffles, cream, butter. It's a wonder they managed to stay alive for as long as they did, because this food is heavy. So I've tried to lighten it, I've tried to take away, and also go through the late Queen, and so hopefully it's an insight, not just into royal eating, but into the kitchens, into the gardens. But, and I tell you, I haven't got any special access, anyone can get to the Royal Archive. I might have a couple of my mother's recipes, but so hopefully it will be just an overview, but a cookbook you can use, that's the point. It's not something to sit on a coffee table and gather dust.
We did say World Art Day was this week, and what better way to bring that home than enjoying the works of 9 leading Sri Lankan contemporary artists as they showcase their work at the JDA Pereira Gallery at the annual showcase organised by the George Keat Foundation. The exhibition featured 10 senior Sri Lankan artists from diverse socio-cultural backgrounds and narratives. From juxtaposing tradition with contemporary canvases, to sculpting form and shape, to paintings that speak of life in all its hues, to forming intergenerational history into current landscapes, to questioning the country's currency in the contemporary terrain. This exhibition came through after a hiatus of 6 years and was curated by Dr. Priyantha Udagedara. The George Keat Foundation has continued to be at the forefront of promoting the visual arts in the country, and just 2 months ago showcased over 340 artists at the annual Kalapola. Sri Lankan Artists 2024 continues the Foundation's quest to give a platform to the country's artists to showcase their works and be a part of continuing the conversation in the creative arts. Art is soothing to the soul, isn't it? We'll see you next week.